Okay, well, it's good to have you all online. I'll share the results. As you can see, it's a lot of counselors. So today we're going to be going over an introduction to the Alabama College Campaign. And we're going to start today off with a couple of FAFSA fast facts to help frame our conversation around the FAFSA. So first, only 43% of adults in Alabama have obtained a valuable credential after high school. By valuable credential, we mean a bachelor's degree or associate's degree or any sort of vocational or trade credential or certification. This is according to the Alabama Workforce Council. Additionally, according to the Alabama Workforce Council, Alabama needs 500,000 or 500,000 highly skilled workers with valuable credentials, again, that post-secondary education by the year 2025. Most Alabama high school seniors qualify for $6,195 in Pell Grants, which is the maximum amount of Pell Grants available to students. And then zooming out a little bit and looking at a national level, the U.S. Department of Education shows that 9 out of 10 students who complete the FAFSA enroll in college the following fall. So with that in mind, I'm excited to introduce to you the Alabama College Campaign, which is a collaboration between Alabama Possible, which is the organization that I represent, and the Alabama State Department of Education, which is co-sponsoring today's webinar. Our objective for the Alabama College Campaign is for every Alabama high school senior to complete a college application as well as the FAFSA or the free application for federal student aid. This is joining the efforts of the Alabama College Application Campaign and the Cash for College Campaign. Who's eligible to participate in the campaign? Everyone. All high schools across the state are eligible to participate, whether you be public or private, religious school, vocational or charter schools. Everybody is eligible to participate. Last year, we had 304 schools across the state participate in the Alabama College Campaign, representing 120 districts and 65 counties. To register for the college campaign, you go to cashforcollegealabama.org, and I'm actually just going to give you a quick look at what that looks like specifically. Okay, let's close this. So jumping over here. So first, I'd like to show you this site, which is our 2018-2019 Cash for College participating schools. This is where you can see who all is already registered to participate in the campaign. We have this handy map brought to you by Google, as well as a list of all schools that are already registered. We updated this at the end of last week. To see if your school is registered, you can just give a quick Control F. So for example, Francis Marion, we can see here that they are already registered. If your school is not listed here, what you would need to do is go to another website right here. This is our Alabama College Campaign registration form. It's a really simple form. You just select your school from the drop-down box. We have most schools listed here, all public schools, as well as schools that have participated in the Alabama College Campaign previously. If your school is not listed here, it's likely that you are a private school. All you would need to do is select private, and then you can move forward from there. So jumping back over to the presentation. About the campaign. So as I stated previously, 9 out of 10 students who complete the FAFSA enroll in college the following fall. How do we get there? We get there by developing a college-going culture in the schools, so that's you guys, plus college applications, the completion of college applications, and the FAFSA completion. Looking at what we were able to do last year across the state, we had nearly 33,000 seniors apply to college, which is an increase of just over 7,000 students compared to the previous year. Further, we were awarded over $60 million in financial aid from the federal government across Alabama, which is an increase of close to $3 million. Zooming out and looking at this on a national level, Alabama had the fourth highest year-over-year percentage increase of all states at about 4.8% increase compared to the previous year. That's behind just a couple of states, Louisiana, Nevada, and Rhode Island. Further, we had a lot of success from a media perspective. We were able to capitalize off of our success in the form of press, which is an important element of measuring the success of the Alabama College Campaign, especially in our society today where digital impact has such heavy influence, especially amongst our youth. Looking back at the state level, as I stated before, Alabama saw an improvement of 4.8% across the state. For schools that are not registered for the Alabama College Campaign, we saw a 4% increase. But for schools that are registered for the campaign, for the Cash for College campaign, we saw a 6% improvement. So how does it work? It works by combining professional development, which includes the webinar that you're all participating in today, as well as other workshop opportunities that will come up and that we've also been doing throughout the summer. Access to data, and by data, we mean FAFSA completion data from a state, county, district, school, and individual level. Partnerships, which is working with organizations like ours, the Alabama State Department of Education, as well as utilizing our resources amongst career coaches, counselors, and et cetera. Media, as I mentioned, is also a key component of the Alabama College Campaign, not just press, but also social media, and finding ways to engage with the families and students that are actually going to be completing these FAFSAs. As well as a friendly competition and recognition. We have a couple of awards, including cash prizes that are a part of the Cash for College campaign that we'll go into a little bit more detail later. Now let's jump into the timeline. So right now we're in the planning stage, August, September, just at the beginning of September. This is the time where you should be putting together your plan. And as a part of that, it includes finding your team. That means the advocates in your community and in your schools that are going to assist you in executing your college campaign. That's career coaches and counselors, community advocates, educators, teachers in the classroom, et cetera. We also should be setting our goals at this stage. And when it comes to setting a goal, I think that an important element of that is looking at the successes that you've had in previous years and finding ways that you can build upon those successes, as well as looking at the lessons that you've learned over the previous years and FAFSA completion data over those years. We'll go into that a little bit more in the presentation as well. This is also the time to review best practices, as well as attending a webinar. So congratulations to you all. You've already checked off one of those boxes. Pro tip, this is a good time for you to have your seniors creating their FSA IDs. FSA IDs are required for all students and their families to actually complete the FAFSA. The FAFSA for the 2019-2020 school year won't open until October 1st, but you can have your students create their IDs now so that you're one step ahead when kickoff comes around. As I mentioned, FAFSA kickoff is on October 1st. Beginning on that day, students will be able to apply for the FAFSA to receive financial aid for the 2019-2020 school year. College application week is next. That normally takes place the last week of October, and this year that's October 29th through November 2nd. More than 20 colleges and universities around the state waive their application for that week. So that's meant for students to have an opportunity to apply to college, perhaps concerned or unable to make that financial commitment from an application perspective. So this is an important week for many students around the state. November 30th is the Best Hustle Award deadline. This is an award recognition that's given out by the Alabama College Campaign and the Cash for College campaign to recognize schools that are off to a fast start in terms of FAFSA completion. This is awarded to schools that have over a 10% increase in FAFSA completion compared to last year. I'll go into a little bit more detail about this award and other awards further on in the presentation. FAFSA priority deadline. This one's a really important one. This is March 1st. This is the deadline for students to apply for the FAFSA or to submit their FAFSA to maximize their first come, first serve financial aid. This is one that especially Alabama students should be aware of and one that we should be trying to meet. March 29th is the Cash for College Awards deadline. Similar to the Best Hustle, I'll be going into more detail on these awards, but March 29th is our deadline for awards. We do, again, have cash prizes available as a part of these awards, but it's based on data FAFSA completion up until March 29th. College Signing Day doesn't have to take place on May 1st, but typically takes place around May 1st. We know that's a busy time for many schools in this state, and we want to be flexible. But College Signing Day is basically an opportunity for you to celebrate with your students and their families the decisions that they've made for college and careers. And then finally, another important date to note is June 30th, which is the end of the campaign. This marks the last day that students can apply for financial aid and be awarded for the 2019-2020 school year. So just so everyone's aware, we're going to have an opportunity to have a Q&A at the end, but similar to the poll at the beginning of the survey, we'll have a couple of those throughout the presentation. So I'd like to have our second poll now. No, poll 2. Here we go. All right. So I've shared a poll with you, and this is, whoops, sorry. What are the most valuable aspects of the Alabama College campaign for your school? Seeing a lot of access to data, professional development, partnerships, friendly competition, good, media as well. So we're seeing answers from across the board. I'll share those results with you so that you can see what everybody is selecting. So at this stage, I'd like to hand things over to my colleague at the Alabama State Department of Education, Dr. Willetta Connor, who's going to go into a little bit more detail about College Application Week.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was making sure. Okay, with the college application campaign this year, like you've already given them the date, College Application Week is October the 29th through November the 2nd. And College Application Week is a statewide initiative that's part of the American College Application Campaign. And it's a national effort to increase the number of first-generation students and students from low-income families who pursue a post-secondary education. And also, we want to make sure that every high school senior complete at least one college application. And it also provides students with individualized support and assistance as they prepare and complete the college application process. The college application campaign began back in 2005, with North Carolina being the first state to start the campaign. And as of 2013, that's when Alabama joined the campaign with 9 high schools. And as of 2014, all 50 states became a part of the National College Application Campaign. And in 2014, here in Alabama, we became statewide with 219 high schools. In 2017, last year, we had over 303 high schools. And thanks to all of you, many of you that are sharing today, we're a part of that initiative. And we're hoping to surpass that number this year with over 400 high schools participating. So our statewide initiative this year is to reach over 400, and nationwide, we want to reach over 7,000 high schools nationwide. Also, with the college application campaign, we have some resources that are available. We have our state coordinator manual, which is available on the Alabama State Department of Education website. And in that manual, you will get an overview of the campaign at the state level. You also have templates for the state personalization, and you can utilize those templates as you please. You do not have to get permission from us. How-to guides to ensure implementation, host site recruitment, volunteer management, also with data collection and analysis. With the data collection, what we are requiring each high school to do is to turn in the total number of high school seniors at your school, the total number of students that complete an application, the total number of applications that were submitted, and also we ask that you would turn this data in. That deadline would be December the 5th, and I will be sending out additional information on that. We do ask that you communicate your activity with other people in your community. Inside that manual, also a state campaign branding samples and also social media resources are available within the state coordinator's manual. And also today, later today at 12 o'clock p.m. today, there will be a how-to and why apply webinar that will be sponsored by the American College Application Campaign. And that social media campaign will be sharing why should students apply to college. And they will also be asking you to share your favorite social media platform using the why apply, the hashtag why apply, to encourage your friends, your family, and colleagues to do the same. And the actual why apply date will be September the 21st, and you will be getting additional information on that from me as we get closer to that time period. So this is really an exciting time for you to get your students involved, and also not just your students, but your staff and everyone in your community involved with the college application campaign. So we're very, very excited at this point, and we hope that this goes on into the next few months, October and November. Okay. And you have a poll, Kobe?
No, we're just going to move right on to the next section.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, also with the college signing day, Kobe gave you the dates for that. That would be early May. Actually, next year, May the 1st, 2019, will be the day for college signing day. College signing day will be very similar to college application week, but this would be an opportunity for you to celebrate the success of your students. As we mentioned during our training, the 3 C's. First, we want to get our students involved in applying to college. So the first C is college application, where they actually apply to college. And the second C is the Cash for College, where we get them to complete the financial aid piece. And then the third part is the college signing day, which will be getting them to celebrate their success in the spring. So with college signing day, which hashtag college signing day, you'll be getting additional information. And this is a nationwide movement, very similar to college application week, that was started with First Lady Michelle Obama, and also Reach Higher and Better Make Room. And these celebrations can be held during the week of May 1st, or it could be as early as April. And you can schedule this around your particular schedule at your school. It does not have to fall directly on that May 1st date, but whatever is convenient for you within your school. But this is a time for you to celebrate your students and their success. And even though all of your students may not apply to college, you may call your event College and Career Day. because many of your students will be going on different jobs, or some of them may be going to the military. So everyone may not be exactly applying to college, but whatever their career choice is, we want you to celebrate along with your other students. We want you to celebrate, we want you to encourage and motivate the success of your seniors and their commitments to higher education. And also there are some opportunities during college signing day with Better Make Room and Reach Higher. They will be providing $500 grants, and there is an application that you can go to either one of those sites, Better Make Room or Reach Higher, to fill out the application, the $500 applications if you decide to have events at your school. In 2017, there were over 1,300 events, and there were several events that were highlighted here in the state of Alabama. Even though we did not collect data last year, this year, 2019, we will be collecting data from our high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools. So mark your calendars, May 1st, 2019. That is our statewide initiative for College Signing Day. Also, there are some toolkits available on the Reach Higher website. And we want to encourage our educators, our counselors, our parents, community leaders, and everyone to celebrate the success of our students. And you will be getting additional information. I know this is the fall. We got a little bit of time to work on this, but we still want to get our students motivated to apply to college first, also to get those FAFSAs completed. And then in the spring, this will be the time for us to celebrate those students' success coming up in May. Okay, also some of the events that would help you to celebrate your students' college signing day can include pep rallies. You can have pep rallies at your schools, or you may combine it with other schools in your particular system or your county. You can have your students and staff to have college t-shirt day, invite your community to celebrate your student success, design a commitment to my future pledge, and this is especially good for your middle and elementary school students. Plan a college field trip, and this is really good for your high school students so that they can actually get to visit many of the colleges and universities that are local, and also those that may be out of area. Have a college family night where your family come and visit, and you can have colleges and universities represented at your school so that those colleges and universities can share their information, and the students and their families can help get better information and have better ideas and have plans for their child's future. Also, some other ways that you can get your students involved is to display cap and gown pictures of your students. Your 9th graders, 10th graders, and 11th graders, have them to wear their cap and gown pictures. Display signs of what your students would like to be when they grow up. And this is especially important when you're dealing with your middle and your elementary school students. Have your students to research colleges that they are interested in. Display bulletin boards of your staff members. Students are always excited to see bulletin boards of their staff when they were in school or when they were in college. Also display a map of where they attended college. Also get your teachers involved by having them to, your English teacher could have your student to write an essay concerning their college experience. Your math teachers can display or have the students to talk about the cost of attending different schools. Also, your door decorating contests always work out really, really well, and you could give important facts about each particular school in your area. And also have your college students to come back, former students, to come back and speak about their path to college during an assembly. So all of these are really, really good ways to celebrate College Signing Day And many of these are some of the same activities that you will share during your college application campaign.
Thank you so much, Willetta. I'm going to jump back in over here. We're just going to move right through the poll. I was going to ask everybody what they do to celebrate College Signing Day at their school using some of the examples that Willetta has cited, but we'll just move along to reporting and competition. Reporting. Obviously, this is an important part of the Alabama College campaign because it allows us to highlight the progress that we've made in identifying the lessons that we've learned, as well as best practices. We have a couple of different methods for reporting that we will be following this year. On December 7th, we'll have the deadline for our Alabama College application campaign data collection. That's with Willetta over at the State Department. We'll also be conducting a mid-year survey at some point in December. Haven't decided on an exact date yet. Again, we know that that time of year can be very busy, so we want to be cognizant of that. But we will be in touch come mid-December to be conducting a mid-year survey around the Alabama College campaign. And then lastly, once again, with the Alabama State Department of Education, we're going to set a June 1st deadline for collecting data on the deadline for the College Signing Day, as well as an end-of-year survey around the whole campaign. Willetta, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Also, I wanted to say that even though we have the October 29th through November 2nd date for college application campaign, but they can actually have the event anytime during the fall. Their activities for college application week can be any dates that is most feasible for their schools. And they need to include all of their seniors.
Yeah, exactly. We want to be as flexible as we can and respectful of your schedules and knowing that that can be a busy time of year as well. Thank you. Something I mentioned earlier in the presentation and now can go into a little bit more detail is the Cash for College competition that we've been hosting annually. As I said, there are a couple of cash prizes. The way that we award our top prize, which is an MVP for FAFSA completion, is first we break down each school that is registered for the campaign into 3 categories. And those 3 categories are defined by the size of your senior class. We do a 1 to 99 as a senior class size, 100 to 199, and then 200 plus seniors, so that we're cognizant of the different size schools throughout our state. The MVP for FAFSA completion award is given to each of those 3 schools in those categories for the highest percentage completion rate for FAFSAs in your schools. So in those 3 categories, each school that has the highest percentage of completion amongst your senior class will be awarded $1,000. Our next award is the most improved FAFSA completion. Again, we break down all of the schools that are registered for the Alabama College campaign into 3 categories by senior size. For most improved FAFSA completion, we're looking at the percentage completion last year compared to the percentage completion this year. So whoever improves the most in terms of percentage completion in those 3 school size categories would be awarded $500. Next up, we have our Best Hustle for Early Completion Award. Again, this is an award given to schools that get out of the gate fast in terms of FAFSA completion. We're looking for schools that have a 10% improvement of completion rate in the first 2 months of FAFSA. So again, October 1st is our kickoff date, and our deadline for the Best Hustle Award is November 30th. So for schools that see a 10% improvement in FAFSA completion over the first 2 months of the FAFSA, will be awarded the Best Hustle for Early Completion Award. Finally, we have a recognition award for schools that achieve 100% of their seniors applying to college. Last year, we had 117 schools that participated in the Alabama College campaign achieve this goal of 100% seniors applied to college. Again, jumping back to something that we mentioned earlier in the presentation is highlighting successes in the news. Again, media is an important element of the Alabama College campaign. and I think can be something that's especially beneficial to you when it comes to your Alabama College campaign at your school. We have partnerships with statewide publications as well as many local publications that highlight the successes of your schools and your Alabama College campaigns. And you can see some examples of how we were able to secure that in last year's campaign here. Qualifying for the competition. Who qualifies? First, you must register for the campaign, which we've already gone over earlier in this presentation. Second, you must have publicly accessible data for FAFSA completion with the U.S. Department of Education. Public schools will have that data, and as well as many other schools. However, if enrollment data is not available via the Alabama State Department of Education, you must self-report via our registration form. Willetta, is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
We will be sending out additional information on that because Ron Leonard is the person with higher ed that pretty much controls that, and the letter is sent out to the superintendents and they must sign. So that letter will be going, well, has already gone out from the State Department. So we'll just be trying to do updates on that.
Thank you. Yeah. And lastly, to qualify for the competition, schools must have access and utilize the FAFSA Student Lookup portal, which we'll go into a little bit more detail later in the presentation. Next, I'd like to talk about resources that are available to you for the Alabama College campaign. First, and perhaps most important are the partnerships. Partnerships within your school, partnerships with local schools, university, colleges, community colleges, trade schools, as well as community partnerships are invaluable to the success of the Alabama College campaign. Within your school, obviously, the counselors and career coaches who are making up most of this webinar are going to be an integral part of that. Additionally, the teachers, the ones that are actually in the classrooms, are going to be a very important element of the campaign and the success of your campaign. Something that we hear time and time again in the form of a success story is what teachers are able to get done in the classroom in terms of FAFSA completion. We actually have a lesson plan that's available to you as a resource, and I'll show you where to find that in a moment, as well as be able to send you that information in a follow-up email after the webinar is complete today. But, you know, having students create their FSA IDs in the classroom or even work on the FAFSA as a part of a lesson plan in their English classes, government classes, or economics classes is something that we continuously hear as a means of success for the Alabama College campaign. Looking at universities, local community colleges, etc., financial aid and admissions officers are going to be a really great tool for you to utilize for your Alabama College campaign. Obviously, experts in this area, and can be really beneficial to have them either come to your school or, as Willetta was explaining, as a part of the campaign, perhaps having a field trip to one of the local schools in your area could be something that's really beneficial. And as well as having recent alumni of your schools come back and explain to them what college life is about and perhaps their process of applying for the FAFSA or to college. And then lastly, community partners, including Alabama Possible and the Alabama State Department of Education, are resources. We are always here and happy to take any questions that you have and be as helpful as we can possibly be. At the end of this presentation, I'll share our contact information so that you know where to find us at all times. Next, I'd like to take a look at a couple of new tools that are available to you. First, I'll start with the FAFSA Completion Student Lookup Portal, which is something that we just mentioned. The Student Lookup Portal allows you as educators to view on an individual basis where each student in your senior class is with their FAFSA. This is only available to you as educators, and we are going to have a webinar later on in the fall that will go into detail as to how to utilize this resource. But it's a very, very useful tool, and we've heard from many of you that this is something that you use on a regular basis and that's really helpful. The other tool that I'd like to talk about is the data dashboard that we've created. And I'm actually going to hop over to the data dashboard just to give you a first-person look. So the data dashboard is hosted on Alabama Possible's website at alabamapossible.org/dashboard. And this is our Cash for College dashboard that gives you a bit of a more macro view of FAFSA completion at the state, county, district, and then down to the school level. So here we're on the landing page. You can see the FAFSA completion rate for the state this past year. Oh, sorry, let me make sure that that's... No, one second. I don't think that you guys have it on your screen. Okay, so this gives you a bit of a macro view looking at this year versus this past year. FAFSA is completed. We had nearly 27,000 versus the 25,700 last year. Out of the 52,000 total students, that's 51.3 completion percentage. As I said, you can also look up by school. So if you click on the by school tab, click on the by school tab once more. You come to this page where we have all of the high schools that have FAFSA completion data listed, which can be really useful in terms of planning your campaign because you can see where your school stacks up amongst the rest of the state. One of my favorite features on this page is the map right here, where you can click on a county and it brings up all of the schools in that county so that you can see FAFSA completion by county. Also, you can automatically, it filters to all, but you can actually go in and deselect all and click on the individual schools that you want to compare FAFSA completion data to. There we go. As I mentioned, we can also filter by district and county on the third tab over. Again, it automatically filters to all, but you can go in and select based on who you want to look at. And then lastly, we do break down on a school basis. So it defaults to Ramsey for whatever reason. But here you can actually look at year-over-year FAFSA completion rates. So you can use this in terms of goal setting, which is something that I was discussing earlier. Looking at where you've had success in your campaigns in previous years and how to capitalize on those successes, as well as areas where you perhaps had some stagnant movement or areas for improvement, and planning on how to ameliorate those timeframes as well. Okay. All right. Next, we have our Cash for College Educators Facebook page. This is a closed group that's available to educators only. It's a place for collaboration and to ask questions and perhaps look for ideas on your own campaign. Please feel free to join this group. We'd love to have you as a part of it. We, Alabama Possible and Cash for College, are also available through our Facebook page as a means to submit any questions or look for resources. Next, we have our Cash for College resources page. That's at cashforcollegealabama.org. There's a big button that says I'm an educator, and this is the right place for you to look for resources, including the lesson plan that I mentioned earlier. All right, Willetta, would you like to go over this slide, the Achieve Alabama Scholarship Portal?
Yes. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. With the Alabama Achieve Alabama Scholarship Portal, this is a statewide scholarship portal where you can have your students, 9th through 12th graders, to go in and do a profile. And this is to apply for scholarships. Also, they could do college searches. They could do financial aid, the whole 9 yards. But it is an application tracking tool, and it also has state-specific scholarships database that is free to all Alabama high school students. The college profiles will enable students to identify best fit, and this is based on their interests, academic performance, and also cost. And this is all free. Students do not have to pay anything for this. Also, the counselors can set up uh, an email where the students can actually send their information back to the counselor if they do a college search or if they do a search for financial aid. Anything that they do on Achieve Alabama can be mapped back to their particular school so that the counselors can keep track of which students are doing what. Also, students are able to keep track of application, including the scholarship deadlines, status of applications, all in a centralized location. And all they have to do is go to achievealabama.org. And this is available for all our 9th through 12th grade students. So if you would like additional information on that, please go to that website. And there's a section if you would like to add more scholarships to that particular site. You can there's a contact number there for that. But there's over $11 billion in national scholarships. And many of these scholarships are local, and many of these scholarships go unclaimed every year because many of the students do not take the time to go on there and apply for these scholarships. So we do want to encourage you all to encourage your students to go to achievealabama.org to fill out a profile. And also there's a section in there where the parents can also fill out a profile.
Thank you, Willetta. As we begin to wrap up today's webinar, I'd invite you all to submit any questions you might have, either through the chat box or through our Q&A portal. While you submit those questions to us, I'd like to make you aware of our upcoming webinars for the remainder of this fall, a couple of which I've mentioned previously. Our next webinar is going to be on September 21st. This will be a FAFSA 101, where we go into a little bit more detail about the FAFSA, as well as changes that are going to be new to the FAFSA this year. As many of you are aware, FAFSA has updated their website for this cycle. The website is now mobile friendly so that it can be accessed via smartphones. In addition to the new mobile friendly website, we're going to, FAFSA is also rolling out a mobile app so that students and their families will be able to complete the FAFSA through an app on their phone. This will still require the FSA ID, just like it would through a normal web portal. But we feel, and FAFSA feels, that this is going to make completing the FAFSA much easier for many families. We also have an upcoming webinar on October 12th on using data for your campaign. This is where we'll be able to go into a little bit more detail about the data dashboard, as well as the student lookup portal. October 25th, FAFSA advanced completion. On November 8th, we're going to be discussing digital outreach, jumping into some of the specifics of our successes around our press campaign last year, as well as how we can utilize social media and other pieces of software and digital platforms to aid in your Alabama College campaign. And then we'll be wrapping up the fall with a webinar on December 6th, What's Next, where we'll be discussing SAR as well as verification. As promised here, too far. Here's our contact information. This presentation will be sent out following the webinar so that you'll have all of this information readily available, as well as some of the resources that we've discussed on today's webinar. All right. Thank you for those of you that are submitting questions. We've got one question Can we as counselors track where our students have applied and are awarded? Willetta, would you like to handle that question?
Okay, what was it? Can you
Sure.
track where the students have applied for scholarships?
I believe it's scholarships as well as perhaps colleges.
You mean from the Chief Alabama? They should be able to, because their information could be forwarded to them for the different schools that they have applied to. Okay. Okay, we have not gotten that list yet. I'm looking at their list of which schools participate in the college application campaign. That list will be out in October.
Okay. Thank you, Willetta.
Did she get it? Did she hear me?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Oh, okay then. Yeah, the list for the schools that are participating in the college application campaign fee waiver, that list will be out in October. We don't have that list available yet.
Thank you.
Okay.
So as far as a timeline for the FAFSA app, which is a great question, there is a beta version that's available now through the Android store and the App Store if you have an iPhone. I've downloaded the app. If you go to whichever application store, it's called, let me look it up. My Student Aid, all one word. That app is still in beta. In order to look at it and to scoot around to figure out how it works, you need an FSA ID, and I don't have one. But I have seen screenshots from NCAN, the National College Access Network, and everything is looking really beautiful. The feedback that they've received from testing is all very positive. Usability is a real strength for it. There are a couple of notes that NCAN have provided back to FAFSA, and they are working to action those notes at the moment. There will be a new app, a new version of the app that addresses those notes out in October. Okay, if there are no more questions, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your participation. Oh, we have one more question come in. Can you provide some clarity when you say the achievealabama.org is a state-specific scholarship database but has national scholarships available? That's a question for you, Willetta.
Yes, there are, for Alabama, there are state-specific scholarships for students in Alabama, but then there are also scholarships in there that are nationwide for other states also, because you may have some students in Alabama that may be planning to go to college out of state. So many of the scholarships that are awarded in Alabama, it is not specific to Alabama. It may apply to other states. So if they get that particular scholarship, it could also be good for out-of-state students as well as in-state. So they're not just state-specific to Alabama, but some scholarships are. But there are national scholarships as well. Did that make sense?
Yeah,
okay, all right.
So, and if we have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly, and we'll be happy to answer those either on email or over the phone. We're friendly enough people and happy to talk to you all. So with that said, I wanted to say thank you again to everyone for participating today. Thank you to Willetta and the Alabama State Department of Education for sharing your expertise today. It's always very much appreciated. And we look forward to working with you all throughout this campaign process and throughout the year. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.